Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back! H here from Newbie Dice. I just came back from a holiday break, a little bit recharged now, and so we're gonna bring things back to basics with a battle report, good old fashioned battle report. This time we have my brand new Northern Alliance versus Trident Realm. Stay tuned.
Hello there! I like to watch battle reports to get better at games. So I started making short, summarized battle reports that focus on learning points. So welcome to my channel, Newbie Dice. Do like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you enjoy my videos. Do consider speeding up this video with the YouTube settings to consume this content or other YouTube content in a fraction of the time.
Okay, this is featuring my brand new Northern Alliance. As you can see, this is one of my units here. That's the Thane with the Telenar standard. And my Northern Alliance is in a Mongolian team while sticking to Mantic models. So mainly some hit swaps and a bit of bit swaps. So let's get to it. This is the Northern Alliance list that I have been toying with. And I quite like this list, if I do say so myself. So let's start things off with 2 troops of Dwarven Clan Warriors, 3 Pack Hunter Regiments with bows, 2 Tribesmen Regiment upgraded to Hearthguard, Hrim, Ice Elemental Regiment, 2 Snow Fox Regiment, an Ice Queen with Heal 5 as its only spell, Thane with Telenar Standard and Loot of Insatiable Darkness, Thane on Frostfang with Trickster's Wand, and the formation, which is the 2 Half-Elf Berserker troops, as well as the Frostclaw Regiment. The Regiment of Frostclaws is upgraded with its shooting attack. So a grand total of 17 scoring units, quite high indeed. 17 units and 15 of them score. So only the 2 individuals, which is the Ice Queen and the Telenar Standard Thane, does not score with 25 unit strength. So I like the drop count quite a lot, and there's still quite a bit of punching power in this list. Having played out of the Green Lady, which is mostly Crush 1, Thunder 1, 18 attacks, right? And that Thunder 1 gets lost in the grind, and my units always get affected by Phalanx. It's pretty refreshing to have Tribesmen with 20 attacks crushing 2 just outright. Fury mitigation built in, 15, 17. And on top of that, it's only 225 on the lower side of 200, right? Quite comparable and even cheaper than most other hammers. Of course, the drawback is its speed. It's only speed 5 with Wild Charge 1, and it's a heavy infantry, so the base size is slightly larger. And yeah, I also just came from Goblins, which doesn't have very efficient fighting units as well. So pretty love the Tribesmen, but I can see how it is quite vanilla in terms of it's just a pretty traditional hammer. Yep, with the Telenar Standard always being around them, they are 16, 18, so that 1 nerf higher. And yeah, with a Rain Chant on standby, they can go up to Crushing 3 to crack those high armor units as well. And of course, I think a lot of people are loving the Pack Hunters, 135 points. They can shoot pretty well, except that they don't have steady aim, but they're really cheap, and they can fight very well as well with the Thunderous Charge, Melee 4, and Pathfinder. In the shootout, they have Stealthy, so if they're in the woods, people are shooting them back at -2. So that's a very good package for 135 points. Unfortunately, I'm already bringing 3 of them, and unfortunately, if I were to tweak the list, maybe I'll just spam a lot more of them, which some people are saying that they're a little bit too good, which I am slightly inclined to agree. They have always been performing in my games, for their point cost, that is, right? Another standout unit is the Berserkers in formation. They gain Crushing 1, so they are Crush 1, Thunder 1. 15 attacks on 3s with built-in Tundra Fighters. That means if the opponent is frozen, they get Vicious. So yeah, this is pretty much almost as strong as a traditional hammer in terms of its attacks. For only 125 point, really throwaway glass cannon missiles. And despite the formation being called Vanguard, they are always second wave, right? You never send them in front. They are always there to mop up. And yeah, hitting pretty hard as long as the Thunderous isn't stripped. And for 125 points, the damage output they deal is insane, right? The Frost Claws give them rally 1, but sometimes depending on where the units are needed, the Frost Claws might not be near them to rally. Okay, some of the questionable units in my list would be the Ice Queen with Heal. I'm not sure whether she should have other spells, but I do like a bit of sustain in my list, so having that heal option is really nice. I feel that heal is quite required nowadays in most lists. That's why I'm still sticking to this for now. I need to play more games to see whether it's worthwhile. In this game, it didn't do that much. Alright, both times I healed 5, I only got 1 success, which was not very significant. Alright, another one is the Dwarf Clan Warriors. They are 75 points, so I do have a soft spot for them. They're pretty cheap. They're even cheaper than Snow Foxes, but they are much less maneuverable. Okay, Ordered March helps a little bit, but at the end of the day, they march 8 inches. Right, they are quite tough with defense 5, 10, 12 nerf, as opposed to Snow Foxes with defense 2, 9, 11 nerf. Snow Foxes does have that stealthy. Pathfinder also does help. Dwarf Clan Warriors, they do hit harder with 10 attacks on force rather than 9 attacks on 5 vicious. Yep, so initially I had Dwarf Clan Warriors screening Tribesmen, but I felt that they were too slow to jump from behind the Tribesmen to in front of them. On the turn that they move from behind the Tribesmen 8 inches forward in front of the Tribesmen only move an inch or 2 upwards. So that's not fantastic, right? So, yep, so these are probably the things that might see tweaking, especially if, I don't know, but maybe Pack Hunters will be adjusted in the next clash, right? So let's, in terms of inspiring, only 3 sources, so Ice Queen being one of them, so there's another reason to have the Ice Queen, right? The Thane on foot does not have inspiring, but the Thane on Frostfang does have inspiring, and as well as Shrimp is my third inspiring source. So only 3 sources of inspiring and 3 sources of frozen. Shrimp's aura and the Ice Elemental Regiment aura, which is one of the reasons why I bring the Ice Elemental Regiment, as well as the Frost Claw being able to confer frozen on whatever it melee attacks. So these are the 3 sources of frozen. I can't remember, but I think the Ice Shards doesn't freeze things, right? So it seems like it doesn't freeze things. Or maybe it does Frostbite. Maybe that's what freezes things. Yep. I don't buy Tundra Fighters on most of my units, including Tribesmen. I like to keep everything cheap and bare bones. So the only sources, or the only guys that have Tundra Fighters are the Thane on Frostfang, which has it built in, as well as the 2 Berserker units has it built in. The Thane on foot has it as well, but he doesn't see combat that often, right? So this is my half completed painted units so far. So when it's completed, maybe I'll do an army showcase. But yep, my Mongolian team, as you can see from the Mongolian helmets and Mongolian hairstyles in some of them. The little top knot, some of them is a bald head with a top knot, some of them is with hair and a top knot. Okay, so my opponent's list is a Trident Realm of Neretica list. Ensnarers with Hammer, 2 Riverguard Troops, Placoderms Regiment, okay, 2 Naiad Worm Riders. So now the Worm Rider hordes, they don't, they come with innate crushing 1 only. So that's the issue with Trident Realm, right? They don't have traditional hammers in the form of crushing 2 or at least crush 1, thunder 1, hitting on trees. So for the Worm Riders, he buffed them up with one with Brew of Strength and the other is Blessing of the Gods for Elite. So Poison Frogs is able to confer Brutal after checking how much damage you have dealt before rolling nerf. Okay, Dam Busters, so they do have Crush 1, Thunder 2 and Strider Fly, but they hit on force, so once again my opponent buffed it up with Brew of Sharpness. So everything, all these units cost pretty much a lot, right? 280, 270, 280 as compared to my Hearthguard 225, which hits about just as hard, right? Except for the Dam Busters when they have their full thunders. Okay, so next, Tidal Swarm with the 5-point shooting upgrade, Knucker, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals. Aquamage with Wild Charge 1, Aura, Edge Periscope, Breath, Icy Breath, and Buckskin. Okay, 2 Mythican with Gnome Glass Shield and Host Shadow Beast 3, and he leveled up to Spellcaster level 2 and Binchant. And Naiad Envoy with Bastion 2, so it has a Fury Aura for infantry and heavy infantry. It's very inspiring because it's a flag bearer and it has a Bastion 2 to confer Rally 1. Next is the Riverguard Sentinel. This is the Frog Hero, so he has a 12-inch Javelin, Aura Vicious Amphibians, which I think are the Dam Busters, as well as Actor. So Wind Blast 8. So 14 units, a little bit on the lower or average side, I would say. But only 9 of them score because he has 5 individuals. My opponent, this particular opponent, he knows that playing a lot of individuals is hurting the unit strength and the scoring units game. But he really like to play individuals and he would like to make individuals work. So this is the hill he'll die on. And yeah, so let's get into it. Before that, let's just have a quick shout out to my local game store.
If you're from the Asia Pacific region, do consider checking out Hammer House website for your hobby needs. They carry a wide range of miniatures and hobby supplies, including Mantic, Vallejo, Scale 75, and Green Stuff World products.
Now let's get into it. We are playing Stockpile, which is one of the newer scenarios. There's one pile of 3 loot tokens in the middle, and then we put 2 piles of 2 across the center line, rolling off to see who plays it first. I think I won the roll off. I put 1 pile here and he placed the other pile over here. So this makes us play the full map pretty much. And so next is I was pretty lucky. I won all the rolls of placing the tokens first. I won the roll of sides first and I won the initiative roll. So that might already start to give me a bit of a lead. Choosing the side and the initiative. I'm dabbling a little bit in a Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game. So what they have is between the sides and the initiative, there's only 1 roll. So the winner of the roll will decide whether he will choose the sides or he will choose the initiative. So maybe we could do it that way in future. So that you don't get to win both, and then that stacks the advantage in your favor. So by winning the sides, I chose this side because I want him to be gemmed. I don't want to be hindered by this forest. So that's why I gave him that forest. And initiative, I decided to go first because I have some shooting that I can start shooting off first. And I can push up to claim the loot tokens first, right? So that's the thought behind that. Okay, my opponent's army, quite a bit of it is being commission painted at the moment, so there's quite a bit of proxies. So I have labeled the proxies. I've labeled the individuals as well because you're going to see them running around the whole game. And then in this screenshot, I've labeled everything just in case you want to take a look at where everything is at the start. So the main thing to consider in this game, especially from deployment, are the 2 blocking terrain, which is this pile of rocks here and this house over here. So what it essentially does is block off this area and block off this area, right? So that hinders both of us in terms of advancing. Okay, I can't put forces here and he can't put forces here because he'll be blocked behind the terrain. So my goal, or rather most of the time when you play, your goal is to win 2/3 of the board. Okay, so my goal was to win here and here. Okay, while his goal was to win the center as well and the side. This side. Okay. So I'm deployed to break through this side. So I'm quite heavily deployed here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as opposed to 5 units here, right? But if you count the strength of the force, this right side is stronger. Okay, especially with a Hrim 200 over point piece. Okay. So, but then my challenge is I need to go around the building. Okay, that's the challenge. Okay, I like to place my Hearthguard in the middle because it will. Hearthguard are slow, right? So most of the time, the middle sees combat, especially if there's a center objective. So I place them towards the middle. I place them towards my left side a little bit because I want to take advantage of charging off this hill if there's a chance. Secondly is I want to stay away from that forest as well. Okay, but I think on hindsight, deploying it more centrally is fine as well. Okay, he scouts up his Tidal Swarm and we go first. So shuffling everything up, I kept this Hearthguard on the hill. It's about 50%, just over 50% on the hill. My Snow Foxes are hiding behind. Yep, just moved up my max in the center. And let's look at the left. Pack Hunters moved up. They don't have Stadium, so they shoot at a -1 and -2 hitting on 6s because the Tidal Swarm is in the water. But that averages 2 hits, defense 2, 2 wounds is quite expected. I tried to hex the Aqua Mage, which has Buckskin, but I failed my hex. These Frost Claws on the right side moved up and shot at the Worm Riders, as well as these 2 Pack Hunters shot at the 2 Mythicant. It has Gnome Glass Shield, and I'm hitting on 7s, which is 6 dice, half dice on 6s, because I moved, I don't have Stadium, right? He is stealthy and individual, right? So I dealt 0 wounds. On hindsight, maybe these Pack Hunters might be in range just within 24 of this one. I would have rather contributed damage over here to the Worm Riders. Okay, another thing I did was just eyeballing this. The Hearthguard got a threat range of 11 inches. I think it just about reaches the end of the forest. And Hrim has a threat range of 14 inches. Definitely can have the threat range that covers the whole forest. So if the Naiads tow into the forest, it would be charged by this too, which is something that you could do to zone the enemies out of the forest, so they don't dare to step in the forest, but by not stepping in the forest, they also can't see anything. Okay, but he does have 2 River Guards that can screen the Naiads advance, so we'll talk about that later. River Guards, you know, they're not exactly chaff, they are like multi-purpose toolkit units. They do benefit more from charging things in the flank, because they do have the Leaper fly rule. Okay, let's see what my opponent does. Okay, so on the left side, let's talk about left side first. Tidal Swarm has a shooting attack. Actor has a Wind Blast that deals damage. It dealt a grand total of 1 wound on the dwarves, but rolled a 10, so on a 11 wavers the dwarves. So my dwarves are stuck here, which means I can't push up. And then the half-elf berserkers are stuck behind as well. But remember, I wasn't trying to win the left side, so I'm pretty happy just standing here, because he would charge me and will cop all sorts of hindered with the terrain as well as the wall over here. So I'm totally fine with him getting hindered by the wall. Yep, so that's fine over here in the middle. So sort of predictably, not predictably, but fortunately, he did not step into the forest. So on hindsight, if he stepped into the forest, Hearthguard charges, Hrim charges. Even with these 2 charges, right? They don't have Pathfinder, so they're both hitting on 5s. Sorry, this is hitting on 4, but with Ensnare it's hitting on 5. He has Strider. This one has no Pathfinder, so it's hindered plus and snared, so it's hitting on 5s. So I'm not expected to deal that much damage as well. So 20 attacks would be about 7 hits, so 6 wounds. And this is on average 10 plus d6, 14 attacks. Right, so maybe 5 hits and 5 wounds. So it's about 11 wounds total. With Brutal is 12. Yep, I think he has 20 over nerf. So I might spike and waver it, of course. So that's a consideration, because by putting it here, right, it just cannot do anything the next turn, because its leader point is here. It can't see anything. You can't see anything out of this, right? As long as I don't go here, past this line, you can't see me, right? That's the thing. So he could have used his River Guard as a chaff. So if he pushes Naiad in, what I would do is put one River Guard here. So by putting this River Guard here, right, I cannot double charge, because if I charge the Hearth Guard in, the Hearth Guard will be wider than half the Naiad frontage, because it's the half the Naiad is 100. This is heavy infantry, so it's 125. So then I can't charge him in. Okay, so he will only take 1 charge, and then he could charge me in the flank, right? If he just angles it a little bit more, so it's just past the halfway point that I contact him, then he would charge me in the flank. And then Buster is here, so yep, it wouldn't be a great charge. Okay, but yeah, River Guard being a multi-purpose unit, I think 115 points is not exactly cheap for Chaff as well. So I think he was unwilling to make that sacrifice, especially so early in the game, right? Now the Busters stood quite far back. Not sure why. Guess he just wants to straddle the wall at this point of time. Yeah, my Foxes can charge 16, so that's quite a bit of distance. If I were to eyeball it from this picture, I think somewhere around here. Because yeah, I think the Sentinel stood out of 16 inches of my Snow Foxes, just in case. Next up on the right side, this at the end of the game we chatted, and he said this was the side that he did not intend to win. So if you do not intend to win the right side, right, then the tactic should be to delay as long as possible. Lose, but stall the opponent as long as you can. And on hindsight, he said he was a bit too aggressive. So what happened here is, this is the front arc of my Hrim. So he decided to move his Mythicant arc past the front arc of Hrim, so that Hrim can charge it. But by doing so, it put them in within charge range of my Pack Hunters, which charge 11 inches. Now, on hindsight, he said that, front arc, right? So he could move more this way. And if I look at my Frost Claws with the building, so I think, yeah, there's a spot here that he could stand where he's out of charge of the Hrim and Frost Claws while being out of charge range of Pack Hunters. So his Mythicant should have stood somewhere around here. And then the Worm Riders here also were a bit too aggressive. So firstly, he regenerated the 1 wound I dealt with the Frostclaw Javelins. He moved all the way up here because he wanted to take advantage of this blocking terrain to limit my ability to charge. So with this blocking terrain here, I definitely could not fit the Dwarves plus the Frostclaw Riders, for example. So you can see how much they are already overlapping. But there was just enough space to fit 2 infantry troops, the Dwarves and the Half-Elf Berserkers, which he saw as well, but he thought he could tank it. Right, which is something about these little units. They look not so threatening, right? But then they actually do a lot of hurt with that 15 attacks, CS2 if not hindered. Yeah, so yep, so he thought that he could delay things by jamming himself here. Placoderms went up onto the hill. So, top of 2, let's start on the right side. So my Frost Claws flew out of the way so that these 2 units could charge. At first, I was hoping that I could fly 10 and turn twice to land here, but there was just not enough space. So I elected to charge the Placoderms instead. So these 2 units could charge, and then my Hrim moved up out of the forest. So because the Ensnarers didn't step in, right, it's not threatening at all as long as I don't touch the forest. So I moved as much as I can out of the forest, and this is threatening, this is threatening the flank of the Placoderms as long as my Frost Claws don't die. Which I don't expect to. 12, 14, right? He is 12, 15 attacks on 4s and 4s. So 7.5 hits, 3.5 wounds, 4 wounds, right? Then he needs to roll 10 twice to kill. Because Hrim is very inspiring, so definitely within 9 inches. So not very likely to kill. Right? Then, but one thing my opponent also said that, on hindsight, his Mythican could have charged the Frost Claws, higher chance of killing. The Mythican did take 1 wound. The first Pack Hunters did not break the shield, the Gnome Glass shield. So the second Pack Hunters broke the shield, dealing only 1 wound, not wavering it. Okay. At the same time, after I charged, I picked up 1 token as well. Now the Worm Riders took 11 wounds from my 2 charges, which is quite expected because this deals about 2.5 wounds and this deals about 8.3 wounds, right? So 11 wounds is expected, and if I have shot the bows at it earlier, maybe he wouldn't have regenerated all the wounds. He regenerated his 1 wound earlier, but 11, just a 7 once to kill. I didn't roll a 7, but I still wavered it, just a 5 to waver, right? So I wavered it, stuck there. So that's 280 point unit that just got stuck there and about to die, right? So over in the center, so I moved up and screened my Hearthguard as usual. So this Hearthguard also picked up a token. This Hearthguard elected to stay on the hill, so there's a lot of Dam Busters defense 5, so I thought I could benefit from charging off the hill, as long as I'm not. Firstly, the Dam Busters can't land in this space, right? The River Guard is out of 14 inches to charge this unit on the hill. The Sentinel, I'm not sure. Maybe they could have charged me on the hill. Yeah, but otherwise, a lot of things can charge me on the hill, so I'm fine with that. On hindsight, with the Sentinel possibly able to charge me on the hill, I think I should have just went in. Okay, so since my Dwarf unit is stuck on the left side, I just backed up my Elves a little bit so that there's room to maneuver later. Okay, these 2 units just stood there and both shot at the Tidal Swarm and killed it. And the Thane repositions to see over this side. So sorry, the front arc is about here. So whatever of my unit get charged, the Thane can see and possibly charge. Okay. So bottom of 2, let's start from this side. The Worm Riders decided to charge the Pack Hunters. The Knucker charged the Ice Elementals. Okay. And Actor shot the Actor has his damaging wind blast, shot the dwarf again. Okay, and the shot killed the dwarf. The Worm Riders with Elite killed off the Pike Hunters, turn around to face. So if he didn't kill, he would cop a flank charge from the Thane, right? Ice Elementals dealt a little bit of damage, taken 2 damage from the Knucker, which got hindered because it is I think it's Pathfinder, but this is a piece of wall that I'm standing on. One thing to note, my first turn, I failed to hex the Aquamage, right? He casted Bugskin on Tidal Swarm, but only got 1 success. So sort of my bad luck cancelled out his bad luck. Got cancelled out by his bad luck. So with the 2 units shooting the Tidal Swarm, it killed it. And then the second turn, I hexed the Aquamage, so the Aquamage moved this turn. So down here in the middle, River Guard charged 2 troops of River Guard, right? One elected to move and face this way, face my Hrim, and then the other one elected to charge the Snow Foxes and wavered it. I think it took 3 wounds and got wavered. Then Busters decide not to charge the Snow Foxes, but at the same time, by taking advantage of the blocking terrain, plus whatever I have going on here, my Tridesman couldn't charge at it. Couldn't charge at it at all. So now the Naiads moved up and threatened me. One thing to take note though, the Naiads are still in my front. So it still couldn't charge my Tridesman in the flank next turn. So I was fine with that situation. Okay. Over on the right side, Blackadon punched back. The Frost Claws held, not even wavered. Mythican countercharges one of the units of Pack Hunters. I think it took 2 wounds. Right. And then not wavered. Worm Riders, they are wavered, so they just stood there. Might as well stay there. Don't let me come up the board so easily. Don't give up more board space. And so my turn. The second volley of it did regen, right? On average, it regens half its wounds, but on 5 damage, this dealing an average of 11 more killed it. Both overran 3 inches forwards. Pack Hunters, 1 unit counter charges. The other unit couldn't, because of his counter charge, I couldn't see the Mythican. So the other Pack Hunters moved up, turned around, and shot at the River Guard. One mistake he made was it was more than half out of the forest. So I was shooting without cover, but no stadium, hitting on 5s, but I managed to kill it. The Placoderms died to a flank charge from Hrim. I think I rolled 3, so 26 attacks on 4s and 2. So that's an average of 13 hits and 11 wounds. With Brutal already on 12. Frostclaw did swing back on 4s because they are large cavalry, so they get phalanxed, right? 4s and 6s. So still, that was enough to kill it. And now I'm facing the rear of its of the Ensnarer Horde. Okay, both of these are in threat range. 14 is just enough to reach the Ensnarers no matter where it goes, as well as a 20-inch flight. Okay, over in the middle, this is my top of 3. So these guys sort of stayed put. Now this, let me rewind one page. Okay, so this unit sideways, tilted towards this side a little bit, so that my individuals can fit inside here. So because I don't want the Sentinel to charge my individuals, so I created an opening so that the individuals can stick their sides against the Hearth Guard. What I did not notice though was I opened up a flank charge from this River Guard unit. My Snow Foxes were wavered, so I couldn't hit back, I couldn't ground it. I healed it for only 1. My Snow Foxes over here charged the Dam Busters, and of course my individuals will park here so that the Dam Busters, if they are still flying, they can't touch any of my individuals. I casted Bane Chan but failed. Okay, and so sad times. But I did deal 2 damage to the Dam Busters, grounding it. So hurrah for the Snow Foxes. I had 3 hits and 2 5+. So once again, the bad luck in the Bane Chan was countered off by the good luck in the damage rolls. So over on the right side, so the Worm Riders, remember whatever charged me, my Thane could see. So the Worm Riders killed the Pack Hunters, turned around, my Thane charged in to stop it. The Knucker got charged by Ice Elementals in the front and the Berserkers in the flank. So that is 30 attacks on 4s and 4s. Right, so is it 4s and 4s? Knucker is defense 5? Or if Knucker is defense 4, then 4s and 3s, right? It lost its Thunderous, but it's still crushing 1. So that's still a lot of damage dealt. 15 hits and either 7.5 or 10 wounds. And Vicious is activated because the Ice Elementals do have the Chilling Presence aura. Okay, so it also activates for the Tane over here of his 5 attacks. I don't know if I triggered any vicious. I did deal 3 damage over here. Okay, and of course the Ice Elementals hitting on 5 on 9 attacks, average of 3 hits, and 1 to 2 wounds. Yep. So killed off the Knuckle over here. So bottom of 3. Let's start over here. The Worm Riders killed off the Tane. It was pretty surprising. So Actor charges into the Half-Elf Berserkers, dealing I think 2 damage, but not routing it. I have lost my Inspiring because the Tane is down. Okay. Over in the middle, the Naiads elected to just kill off the Snow Foxes, right? The Snow Foxes, because the River Guard did take that flank charge into the Hearth Guard. Okay, average it should do 6 damage, right? 24 attacks on 4s and 4s, so half and half that is 6, but it dealt 9. Didn't even waver it, thankfully. It spiked the damage roll, but not the nerf roll. Yep, even with wavered, it has Fury. I don't mind countercharging this because my Hearth Guard is going into the Dam Busters. And so this Naiads are facing this way, so I can just rear charge with these 2 units. Okay. On hindsight, since he wants to create difficult options for me, I think he could have faced the Naiads the other way. Right, so because if I have to counter charge here, if I have to charge this here, then something else will need to take care of the Dam Busters. And if I have to charge here, then there's nothing else taking care of the River Guard. Right, so that might be a option over there. Okay, because by giving me this rear, then it's just inviting my side pieces to come join in the party in the center. Right. But then I would have taken a triple. I probably would have taken a triple charge. I think I'll still charge here. I'll charge these 2 in. I'll just take a longer time to take it out, which is fine. Yep. The Sentinel has shot at the Tane, dealt I think 1 damage, but rolled a nice nerf roll to waver it, so no Bane Chant for next round. Okay, so anything else? The Mythical is still holding strong. It counter charges the Pack Hunters, dealing another 2 damage. 4 damage now, but needing a 9 to waver, did not get it. Okay, so top of 4. Let's see over here. The Mythical gets double charge. Pack Hunters in the front and Pack Hunters in the side. The front one has no Thunderous and is ensnared. The side one is, because it's charging the side, so no ensnare and got its Thunderous one. Shield has already broken, so killed it off. These 2 units just shuffled. And Shrimp plus the Frostclaw did charge into the Naiads in the rear and took it out. Okay, the Dam Busters did take 2 wounds from my Snow Foxes, and then these Hearth Guard charged, well, dealing an average of 13 hits and about 8 to 9 wounds, right? I think about 8 to 9 wounds. So that will put it on a 10 or 11. So not impossible to just route it. I probably spiked slightly and routed the unit. The Hearth Guard did countercharge the frogs and killed it off. No brainer, that should delete the unit. And the Ice Queen healed it from 9 damage, it only healed 1, back to 8. So there's a possibility that it could get taken out by the Sentinel. Low possibility, but it's still there. I think it's a 3 attacks, 5 attacks on 3s and maybe 4s. I think it's crush 1. So it should do about 2 damage. So still needed at least a 2 damage. You'll need an 8 twice because it's rallied. So I split up my individual so that the Sentinel can't do a daisy chain of or a multiple charge. So you can only either take one of these individuals or try to kill out the Hearth Guard, which I'm fine with. Okay, I've already somewhat won the middle. On the left side, to add insult on injury, I countercharged Actor, 15 attacks on 3s and 5s. On 3s, that should be 10 hits. On 5s, that should be 2 to 3 wounds. 3 wounds. 3.3 wounds. Okay, so I think I dealt 4 wounds and rolled a 8 to waver it because it's only 12/14. Okay, either that or I rolled 2 wounds and 10 to waver it. Either way, right? I wavered that and then I dealt a tiny amount of damage here. He regenerated, so I think I dealt another 1 or 2 damage to bring it to 3. And I rolled double 6, wavering it as well. So that was the only unit he has left to fight. And I wavered it, and so we called the game after that. Just to take note of the clock, we played a 65-minute per side game. I have 18 minutes left. I think it's quite healthy because I have 2 and potentially a third turn remaining. But the later turns tend to be faster because there are less pieces on the board to fight with. Yep, and that's the end of the game. So let's look at some learning points. This is my hot take. When in doubt, always I will choose to go first. Take the first turn. Okay, why? You can fix deployment mistakes. Oh shit, you might think, oh, I should have deployed this unit on there and that unit here. You have your first unit to start shuffling towards the correct position, right? The unit on the side should be in the center. I could start making my way over there without that much consequence yet. Okay, or sometimes you just position them badly, right? The angles are not great. Certain frontages are not covered. Then you can shuffle things along. If you go second, that means you're bottom of one player. You might not have that chance because the opponent might already presenting threat in your face, which limits how you can shuffle around, how you can unpack your army, I would say. Yeah, so that's where my second point comes in. You claim the board space, posture for scenario, right? I move up to pick up the loot tokens first. He did not pick up a single loot token this game because I've already presented threats that he has to answer to while I keep moving up the board. Okay, posture for scenario, yeah. Threaten zones such as the forest, right? Not letting him come into the forest or threaten to charge him when he comes into the forest, and limits where enemy can go. Okay, so I can already charge you, so you have to shuffle up very carefully, making sure your screen and all that, so it limits how you can move. Okay, if you are shooting army, like I have some 24-inch bows and 18-inch javelins, I can shoot first, or if the opponent shoots, I get to move first before I get shot at, right? So, especially this game, and quite a lot of games, the game might be over before the bottom, because going second, your biggest advantage is the end of turn. You get the last turn, right? The bottom of 6 or the bottom of 7 if you roll turn 7. But quite a good number of games, I say, the game is over before turn 6. Like, you might not have lost all your pieces, but you have lost enough that you can't fight back but before turn 6. So then you have lost the advantage of going second. Okay. The only good reason to go second is if they have shooting that can't shoot at the top one. So you let them move first and then they lose 1 turn of shooting basically. Okay, blocking terrain is the most influential terrain in the game. Like how I show you how it blocks off certain areas. So it makes things difficult. So if you remember on the right side, I killed the Worm Riders early. But those 2 units were almost useless for the rest of the game. They were too far out because I have to deploy them on the other side of the building. Now you could argue that, if the game lasted longer, I could have moved up to be token carriers while my pack hunters charge forward or move forward towards the center of the table to contribute. Now, do remember that if no one gets aggressive, the person who with better shooting will win the game. So that my opponent has very little shooting, so he's being pressured to move up and make plays. Okay, so do remember this important rule. Now decide where you want to win, 2/3 of the board. So if not for the waiver roll down here, right, he could win this side because what's gonna happen is the Worm Riders will kill the Worm Riders will kill the Ice Elementals at the bottom of 4. Okay, I might kill Actor or I might just waiver it again. Then he will kill the Berserkers at the bottom of 5. and then it'll be somewhere here on the bottom of 5, and he could still contribute to the center. Of course, he has already totally lost his center and right side. Yep. If not, at least the left side is somewhere that he should have won. So what I did, I was just staying around the wall the whole game, just delay things for him. While he was a bit too aggressive on the side that he would have lost, he made some aggressive plays and it did not pan out. Right, so delay the losing side. So it was a risky play for him to move up. So it's like, what is the safest and easiest way to delay the forces? Just stay back, right? Stay back, but make him having to come forward and deal with you. That will delay the forces. Okay, so I can threaten enemies entering forest. If they are boxed out of the forest, they have no line of sight, can't do anything for 1 round. Okay, so my opponent made some aggressive plays, but always layering forces would be much better, right? Because taking a charge on the chin and hoping opponent don't roll above average is very risky. So even if, let's say, earlier on the Worm Riders on the right side taking that 2 charges, even if it doesn't waver on an average damage and a nerf roll, the opponent might spike, and once it wavers you, it's game over for you. Right? That's a very risky play. So what if you just have another unit in front? Then you wouldn't have this risk, right? So here, so if he wasn't wavered, right? If he wasn't wavered, he would take out this unit on bottom of 2, and then because he regenerates, the dwarf won't deal significant damage to waver it again, and then he'll kill this unit on the bottom of 3, and then he'll turn around. Hopefully I will have dealt with the placoderms and start turning around this way. Okay, then at least then I have less threat on the naiads. So what will probably happen is the birds will face the naiads while Shrimp will face the Worm Riders, because Shrimp will benefit against the Worm Riders, right, with the crush, with the Slayer. Yep, so then on top of that, if the Mythican stayed out of play, then it might delay the Pack Hunters further, right? So these are things to consider. And the other one was that if you screen the naiads, your naiads could have come into the forest, and then Shrimp wouldn't be able to threaten the placoderms in the flank. Alright, so these are the screening plays. Yep, best to layer forces, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed this battle report. Just a quick shout out to my patrons before I go. I do have Patreon. 1 Peep Anonymous, 2 Peep Thomas Douglas, and 4 Peep Alessandro Serpe. Thank you for supporting. I know it's been a while since I made a video, so hopefully this makes up for it with some entertaining, or more importantly insightful tactical analysis to make our games better, because that's my mission, to help players get better at the game when they don't get to play the game, so that when you're actually on the table, you do have a good game. Right, if you like this, watch another video, subscribe, click the like button, all that jazz. And I do have a podcast as well. You can search me out on Newbie Dice Podcast on all your podcast apps. And my Patreon, if you'd like to support me, is patreon.com/newbiedice. That's all I have for you today. Till next time, I'll see you again.